I can't believe that you just announced the thing that's special
Yeah.
was more special than I thought it was going to be.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 100 of Down Once More. Matt here, and I've got Brad joining me we're doing a special episode today. We've been very House of the Dragon heavy the last 8 weeks, doing recaps on those, which have been a hit. Thanks to everyone who's been
which makes
tuning
sense
in.
because when I think musical theater, I think House of the Dragon.
Exactly. It's epic. It's grand.
Hand
It's
in glove.
sweeping. I'm actually
They break
penning
into
my
song and dance.
Game of Thrones musical now. Lord of the Rings has a musical that's in Chicago. So let
Looks
me know
so
when you go
bad.
to that. And we'll talk.
I won't.
Is it bad? You won't go to it?
I don't know.
I haven't
It looks
seen
cheesy.
anything about it.
Have you seen the trailer?
Yes.
Looks
But
cheesy.
I don't know what to expect. It's one of those things you have to go just out of morbid
I didn't
curiosity.
go to the Harry Potter one.
That's fair. I was at a winery last night and they had a chocolate peanut butter banana mead. And I almost got it out of morbid curiosity, but then I decided not to.
See,
it would have probably
and
been
that's the exact
cloyingly
same
sweet
thing
and
as-
gross.
It's like in Pitch Perfect, which we should do a Pitch Perfect episode.
Already been there, done that. Rayleigh and I did it.
Yeah, it is 100 episodes deep.
It is 100
Pitch
episodes
Perfect?
deep.
I meant Pitch Perfect 2.
That we have not done.
Anyway, Fat Patricia, when Scooter's trying to come on to her, says, sometimes I think about doing crystal meth, and then I think, maybe not.
Better
and that's
not.
how I feel about
The Lord of the Rings musical. Okay, that's fair.
100 episodes. Congratulations.
100 episodes. This is all right. So I am interjecting and interrupting this episode recording because I was thrown off because Brad and I had technical difficulties at the beginning of this recording, and I forgot to make the announcement that there will be a special surprise announcement later on in the episode in celebration of episode 100. Got a special treat for you. So I'll throw the time code in the description because I'm a nice guy. But stay tuned. Later in the episode, special surprise announcement. You're not going to want to mince it. Check it out. And thanks for 100 episodes. Now back to regularly scheduled programming. This is going to be a more musical themed episode. Brad and I will be doing a draft of the best opening numbers to musicals. So this episode will come up with the top 10 best opening numbers to musicals of all time, as we are the foremost experts on musical theater. So stay tuned for that. But first, we have a few other things we need to discuss. One, it's episode 100. So if you're watching on YouTube, it's a little bit different vibe. I am currently standing at my standing desk to record because my office is rearranged because we're supposed to be getting new windows put in this past week. And so I had to move things out. So there's not room between my desk and the bed in here for my chair. So I am standing. This window, I am not going to name the company yet. I'm giving them a chance to make it right. But I will start shaming them now. And I don't like to complain. I'm not one of those people. Like, I'm very conflict avoidance in general.
Have you ever sent food back?
No, never. Like, even like I ordered this back in the day when I was stupid and would order my steak medium well. It would come out medium rare, and I'm still not sending it back. Now, I order it medium rare, and I'll have it come out rare. I'll eat it, but I've had it go well done, which is completely the opposite, and I still don't send it back. I don't do that.
What's even worse is if the server comes around and says, "How is everything?" I will always say, "Excellent, 100%
of the time." Yes. I'm getting sidetracked now. I realized this weekend Nebraska does a passport thing. So you go and see different spots in Nebraska. So they got to get tourism, has to get something going somehow.
Visit Nebraska, visit nice.
Yeah. So I was doing 13 hours of that yesterday, but like 5 of the stops were wineries. So it was okay. But one of the places we went to was in a little town called Stromsburg. And the store was an antique store that is owned by kid we used to play basketball with. So
Wait,
and Pam,
Pam owns the antique store now?
she owns Primitive Chicks. That's in the coffee shop there. She's one of the owners of it.
No way. That's new.
Yep.
Good for
Yep.
Pam.
She said about 10 years. Yeah, we talked for like 45 minutes. And I realized, I realized,
shout out to Pam.
I do
Mama
this
name. Sorry, no last names. Bleep that out.
I do this thing when I'm around people from my past life where I will basically code switch to Christian coded. Like I'll be saying, oh, I'm so blessed that this happened. We're really blessed that this, blah, blah. I don't swear, all sorts of things. So that's something that I realize I do. And I'm not going to stop doing that either. I have gotten to with our parents. They know. They know I'm burning. But I mean, probably not. They're in blissful ignorance. But I do that with other people from the past life. It's something I do. Anyways,
what do you mean by burning? Is this like a STI situation?
Yep. It's just hellfire.
There's antibiotics, man. Like
musical.
You can get that taken care of real quick. But it's kind of weird that mom and pops know about that.
That's fair. Very open family. But
that's not true. That is not true.
It's not even a little bit.
I don't do therapy. Probably should. But part of the reason I don't do therapy is because every time I start the intake, I see the same look across the therapist's face where it's just like, oh, I don't know if I can handle this shit. So, wonderful family. Much good, very nice.
I don't remember where I was going with that. Oh, we were talking about complaining, sending things back.
Don't complain.
Coded. Windows. Supposed to get Windows. When we were sold them, we were told we'd be getting them end of June. End of June rolls around, no call. End of July rolls around. And you have to put half down at the time you get them. So they already have half the price of a decent car from me. So it comes end of July.
Half the price of a new Tesla.
Pretty damn close. Not a Cybertruck, though. I don't want people thinking that. No. And end of July comes and they call and they say, hey, we're going to install August 7th, 8th, and 9th. And we're like, okay, fine. Wife works from home. So like, that'll be fine. Great. Well, they said, we'll call the day before to let you know when we're coming. We get a call at like 9 p.m. the day before confirming that they're coming on the 7th. And so that was after we called them at like 6, like, hey, are you still coming? They're like, yeah, the installers usually call once they get back to their hotel. So they must still be doing their job. So they call at 9 p.m. They said they'll be here 8 a.m. next morning. Okay, great. They show up. The main installer says he threw his back out getting out of the truck. So asked if they can come back. He said, go to his chiropractor and stuff. Said, we'll come back the next day. We'll be able to get it done in 2 days. No problem. So we'll still be done by Friday. We're like, okay, kind of irritated, but fine, whatever. That's good. They come back the next day, and he's apparently constantly groaning every move that he makes. So clearly didn't fix his back or putting on a show, one of those. Not going to say which. But they start putting in the windows. They tell us, hey, these are actually going to be deeper than we thought. Because our windows, as you can see by this window behind me, we have drywall returns, so the blinds like sit within that frame, so they don't stick out. It's great. He's like, well, the new windows are going to be deeper than we thought, so you probably won't be able to put the blinds back up. We're like, that's kind of annoying. The salesperson says, you might have to, but they should be fine, no problem, which he's not the installer. I won't fault him. Annoyed that now I have to come up with the price to get new blinds on top of everything or some kind of window coverings because I don't do curtains. I don't like curtains and they're not cheap. No. So it's like, okay, fine. So they put in the first window and they like are draping insulation over wife's work chair. Like she's sitting in the kitchen. So like you don't put fiberglass insulation over stuff. And like with the salesperson, he's like, they lay a tarp down. You won't even know they were there, which I get is a salesperson-y thing to say. But you're selling us on these. And I want to stress too, this is not like bottom of the barrel window company. This was like the second highest from the 6 quotes that we got, and had great reviews when we did research. Great reviews. But they put the window in, and they're like, well, they put trim boards, little like inch trim around the inside. I'm like, okay, but they put it in. There are chunks missing out of it, paint scraped off on it. They left gaps in it. He left all the big like nail holes in it. There's things on the window that are just scuffed up, and there's seams of this glaze beads that go inside the windows are just uneven, one overlapping, and just not happy with it. But they put in one window and then leave at 11. And they asked if they could come back Saturday because they really want to get it all done. This is before they left. But I'm like, yeah, it didn't come one day, and then now you're asking if you can come back Saturday, but then you're not even doing a full day. You're leaving at 11. So after they left, wife looking at it, it's awful. We're just like, this is not feeling great about this so far. So text the salesperson, end up getting on the phone with their customer service. They're like, send us the pictures. They're like, we'll get back to you in the morning. We send them the pictures. They call us almost instantly. And I'm like, that means they saw the pictures and they're like, holy fuck, we need to do something. This is awful. Yeah. So they call us back and they said, okay, the owner called the installer and talked to him and wasn't on his A game because of his back. And it's like, well, that's not my problem. Like, you should have rescheduled then. Like, okay. And they're like, but they're going to look at that window and they're going to fix it and make it right. And then they're going to do one more window and then they're going to have you look at it and give the okay before they move on to any others. Because we want to make sure they're happy and take care of you. So I'm like, okay, and we'll see what happens. They come back the next day. The guy looks at it. He says, well, those overlapping glaze beads, that's a warranty thing. And so I'm like, I'm sorry, but if there's something that you see is wrong and is a warranty thing, don't put the window in. I should not have to call in a warranty the same day you put in these new windows. And so they said they're going to fix the trim and stuff, but he said he was going to do it at the end. So already not doing what was said. And then they went and started doing a window in the bedroom that had 2 windows in it. And they did both of those windows and then started on the kitchen window and hadn't said anything. And so then my wife starts looking at him, is like, wait, there's these things. I don't know. Did you know? He's like, yeah, that's not great, but that would be a warranty thing again. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? So she called her. So like, what do I do in this? Because I don't want to be a dick, but I am not comfortable with how this is coming out. They're like, you should tell him to stop work, which I would have done too. So we're like, I'm really not comfortable with you continuing until this is taken care of. And the guy was acted pissed and annoyed. Like when he came back that morning, he's like, my boss chewed me out over this. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you. And he's like, well, they're building a new shop. So it's really important to them that customers are happy. And it's like, well, then do a good job. And it just blew my mind that after this, he's like, well, it's just cosmetic. It should be fine. And it's like, it doesn't matter if I'm getting brand new windows. Like if you're getting a new car, you're not going to drive it off the lot with cosmetic damage unless you're getting a sizable discount. If you're saying that I've fully paid for everything now, there's nothing else, then maybe I'll deal with the warranty stuff myself and the calls. But I'm just like, no. So the manager came out and he's like, no, that's not the quality you should expect from us. We're going to take care of it. I'm going to take the windows. I'm going to inspect them all in the shop, make them good, and then put them back. But it'll be a few weeks. And the installer also said, he's like, well, like if you're not happy with it, it'll probably be like 12 to 14 more weeks before you can get new windows. So you probably just deal with the warranty. And it's like, I don't care. If I'm paying for them, I will wait 5 months. I don't give a fuck. I'm not paying for everything until it's done. So that's where we're currently at. They have stopped work. They also, one of the ledges on the windows upstairs, when they were sawing to cut out the existing window, the vibration supposedly cracked it. And so that's now damaged too. So it's been fun.
Probably was the vibrations. That sounds legit.
It actually was, but it's inconvenient.
So
it's another thing. So that's where we're at with that.
the really frustrating things about kind of dealing with people in the trades is there's a huge percentage of them that are just great folks.
Absolutely.
And they're hard workers that do an immaculate job. They take their job seriously and they work hard at it. There's also other people that can't be bothered.
Yeah.
You just nothing, like, they do it up to their own standard, and if that standard isn't good enough, too bad. And if you have a problem with it, that's a you thing, because you don't have the skills to do it. I've even seen videos. There's a whole thing. Have you seen this? The blue tax. That's some tradesmen. So
Maybe.
The trades in America, for our international audience to kind of bring on board, America is really divided right now between the political right and the political left. And the right is the reds and the left is the blues. And the trades right now didn't used to be like this. Wasn't like this 50 years ago, but right now a lot of white tradespeople are Republicans. They're on the right. And I have seen so many videos of like contractors charging a blue tax for if someone has like a Biden sign or like a liberal sign in the front of their yard, charging them more because they just assume that they're stupid and can't afford it.
Nice. I have zero signs in my yard.
Phone. It's kind of a cell phone because it's just like, hey, like, oh, those liberals, they have more money than us.
Fair. One other thing I want to say, like, one of the big selling points with this is they're like, we don't subcontract it out. We have our own installers that they only do our windows. They only do our stuff. They've been with us for X amount of years. And so it's not just hiring crews that come in and knock it out. Like, it's our own ones who are experienced with the windows, this type of thing. This is what they do day in, day out, every day. It's like, well, obviously they've gotten lazy doing it day in and day out.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. And I don't know what all's going to go down with this. Like I said, I'm not naming the company yet, but I am pissed off. At this point, so frustrated.
They have, if they don't bend over backwards and take 10% off the top, they're still getting a bum ass review. Like,
100%. Like, because it's a month later than we were expecting, which I get. Sometimes there's delays you can't control.
Nearly a month.
But then, yeah. And then the thing with the communication about the days, and then how many times we've had to go back and they're just not doing what they said they were going to do. And it's like, I don't want to be a dick, but it's like, I kind of want a new installer because this one has shown that he doesn't pay attention or do stuff. I know. So we'll see what happens. It's been a grand old time. So that's what I've been dealing with this week. And then great. Last week, I had no power for 3 days. So that was great. So it's been a fun time. And then today it's cool enough outside that the air conditioning didn't kick on like at all today. So I am sweaty and uncomfortable right now.
You seem happy.
And worked up. So everyone on YouTube is in for a gross treat. You're welcome.
They can't smell you. It sounds to me like you didn't have much time to watch the Olympics.
I watched a little bit. I watched bits and pieces. So we hung out with some friends who were in town from Florida. And they always had it in the background.
USA.
We won the most medals, right? Were we tied with China for gold?
Most medals and tied with China for gold. Take that, comments. That's what I saw.
But we beat them with overall medals by like 30, right?
Yeah.
Or 40, almost a 40. Decent amount.
So it's an insane amount. But it all came down to women's basketball. And somehow, without Caitlin Clark, they found a way to win the gold. And it's the longest Olympic win streak of all time. Gold win streak of all time. Yeah.
So, nice. Well,
I want to say
and the next Summer Olympics are in LA. So it's coming to the US.
USA. So we'll win that shit too. Let's go. Look,
that's right.
I have my share of critiques of this country. I think that just like unbridled, uncritical nationalism is actually a plague. I think that if you buy the rhetoric of American exceptionalism without asking questions, what are we saying that we are exceptional in? By what metrics? With and just uncritically accepting that because we're America, we're superior. I think
Yeah.
that's a problem. That being said,
Definitely.
if you can't get it up to go like full patriot for the Olympics, you should surrender your passport, get out of my country. USA, USA, USA. And let's be honest, the Winter Olympics are a lot sadder as an American.
That's
Like
true.
we have some very, very talented athletes.
Mhm.
And we win more than our share of golds. However, the Canadians, those Western Europeans, it's a tougher slog. We've actually never won a Winter Olympics, so
Yeah.
knock on wood for 2026.
I do have the mini fridge in this room now, so that's very
Well, that's
nice. But other things we were going to talk about before we get into the draft was the Great Gatsby Broadway cast recording. I listened to it during all my hours of driving yesterday. And I will say, my recollection of the Gatsby tale isn't super strong. I don't think I ever read the book. It
I was
was
about
not
to say,
on our
what
homeschool
recollection?
reading. I watched the movie.
You have to have a collection to recollect.
I watched the Baz Luhrmann movie and with Leonardo DiCaprio. And that's about it. And I watched that once and I remember jack shit about it, except there's that gif of Leo holding up the champagne glass and the fireworks going behind him. So that's all I remember about it. But I think my takes on the Great Gatsby cast recording album are probably a little bit fonder than yours, but still overall, I feel like it's a mostly forgettable album. It definitely has its ups and downs, and it's not one that I'm going to listen to front to back. I will say it does have some fantastic songs in it and vocal performances, particularly from Jeremy Jordan. But Eva
Who would have
Nomozada,
thought that's where
I
you were
know,
going
you're
with that?
shocked. But Eva
I can't
Nomozada,
believe
who played Daisy, I wasn't aware of her before, but she has a fantastic voice. And one of my favorite ones on this was For Better or Worse. And her performance of that was so good. But what song do you think from there is the one that will be the next song that I just run into the ground because I really liked it? There is one on there. I go through stages with this. I did it with Michael in the Bathroom. I did it with a couple from Next to Normal. And I'll do that. There'll be one song I did with Who I'd Be from Shrek, which is a great song if you haven't seen it or heard it. But I do that. There will be some musical song that connects with me, and then I'll just flow through it. But
it's the one where Gatsby's in his feels towards the end. I can't. Is it For Her reprise?
So For Her and For Her reprise were some of my favorites from her, but Past is Catching Up with Me is the one
that's good.
Was just fantastic, and I love that. And I had it on repeat today. Great song, great performance. I think Jeremy Jordan's already, I think he's slid off. I don't think he's on Broadway anymore. I don't know if it's even still running on Broadway anymore.
I don't think
I think it had a shorter run. I don't think it was very successful on there. So I think it's one of those things that they're talking about when they're looking at Broadway shows, that there's so many shows right now vying for people's attention and money, and it's hard. You need one that's really going to hit and connect with audiences. And on that note, we'll get into our draft. Because
really quick, I smell sewer gas, and I have to check some.
Okay, have fun with that.
I'm checking my sumps. That's all.
Don't hit your cable. Nice.
Just wake up to a shit-filled basement.
That'd be fun.
Huh. So yeah, let's
Interesting.
talk draft.
Okay. Let's talk the draft. So, one of the ways that you can help spread word of mouth and keep people interested in a musical is having a stellar opening number that gets people hooked right from the get-go. Just kind of sets you up
Forced.
what you're going to feel. No, it's not. That's what it is.
Did
It's a
you
transition.
write that
No.
segue? You just came up with that? Good. If you would have written that out and planned that ahead of time, that would be embarrassing.
No.
That was not your
I
best.
plan 0 segues. I plan almost nothing on this podcast, as longtime listeners will know. Oh, another great Gatsby song. That was one of my favorites. My Green Light is fantastic. I like that one a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
So, really good one. But draft. I've let Brad go first multiple ones, and this is the 100th episode, and I have been on every single one of them. So I am pulling rank, and I am going to get the first pick, and because it is fitting, and I am going with one that does not have any lyrics. I'm going with the overture from Phantom of the Opera.
Oh my goodness. Cross that off my list.
It is fitting. That's where this podcast got its name. That's the very first episode we did on here was Phantom of the Opera. And I think that Brad and I talked about this beforehand a little bit because I said, I don't think overtures necessarily count as opening numbers unless you want to. Like the main concept of this draft is
Not two,
the ones
4,
that are
6.
getting
Two, 2, 6, what is it?
the actual singing and that big number with lyrics that get you pulled in and sucked in. But I think the overture of Phantom just sets the tone when you get the chandelier raising, and in the movie version you have it going from black and white to color, and it hits, and it is so powerful, and I feel like it is one of the best moments of that whole movie.
Yeah.
Sets the tone for what you're getting into. It is such a powerful score, and
it introduces
some of
musical
Andrew Lloyd
themes.
Webber's
That's
best
what a really good overture does.
Mm-hmm.
Is it introduces musical themes.
Mm-hmm.
It primes the pump for what's to come, and it sets the tone for the beginning of the musical. And
Yeah.
good Lord, what is cooler than the bum, 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 bum,
Yep.
and then the drums come in, you're like, oh man, that's what this is? Because it's set in just like
fantastic.
Monarchical
It's rock
France.
opera.
And it's like, this is awesome. This is
Mhm.
awesome. I'll give you that. That's pretty good.
I needed that to go 1 of 1, and I didn't know if you were going to steal it or not. And so
it was on my list.
I pulled rank.
It wasn't my 1-1.
Okay. Well,
Partly
now you're getting a
because-
chance to get what your 1 of 1 would be.
So my 1 of 1 is probably for modern audiences the most famous musical opening that we have. But it's not just a great musical opening, it's a great introduction to the story. And it's a recurring theme and a recurring narratival element that runs through both acts of the play. Give me that bastard orphan son of a whore and a Scotsman.
Do it.
Alexander Hamilton. That's my first pick. I feel real good about it. I mean,
Yeah. That was on my list. It was high on my list. Because
it's probably objectively not the best opening number, but it is definitely the most like culturally relevant and one of the most impactful and memorable.
It tells the story, and that's one of the other big things, and I feel like what's most important in an opening number, it sets the tone for the musical, what's following, and you see what you're in. And Alexander Hamilton does that perfectly. It sets the vibe for the musical. It's telling that story leading up to the backstory, how you got to where you are today. That is a great pick.
I was taught how to write papers in college by just the simple formula of tell them what you're going to tell them what you told them. And that's exactly what the play Hamilton does. And as far as the tell them what you're going to tell them goes, this overture is nearly flawless.
Yep. That's a great pick. Okay. For my second one, I've got a lot of good ones here. And so I'm trying to see if I go with what's truly the second one in my heart or what I think you could steal. I'm going to go with
But the
second on my
heart.
list. I'm going down the row, and that is going to be Rent from Rent.
Oh, screw
so
you, man.
I think
Oh.
this is one where, like, if you're listening to the Broadway cast recording, it's technically the fourth song on it. It's the fourth track on it, but it's the first song. Like, Rent, the Broadway version, is pretty much sung through. So you have the opening with Mark singing about where they're at, narrating his story. You have the voicemails, but then you get into Rent, and that's when things really kick it into gear. You're setting the stage for where these characters are, and it's fantastic. Rent is my second round pick.
That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
You know how much I love that musical.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
got you into that musical. Thank you very much.
You did, absolutely. And for me, it's all about that first act.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The second act has some notes, but the first act is definitely the best. And I also do have to give a shout out. Rayleigh got me into Rent. So it's full circle on the podcast. So there we go.
So that's a tough one to lose. I'm going to go with, for my second pick, give me Hello. Book of Mormon.
That's a good one. I had it on my list.
Part of it is just my insatiable love for Book of Mormon.
So
part of it's growing up so hyper religious, even though we weren't Mormon, that Book of Mormon is still, there's still so much resonance there.
Yeah.
And it's just a hilarious introduction to these little Mormon missionaries.
That's great.
I love that track. The first time I heard it was I watched the replay of the Tony Awards performance.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh, this musical
so good,
looks hilarious. And I refused to watch anything else or listen to anything else from that musical until we saw it, except for
you didn't even see I Believe.
I saw.
Okay, I was gonna say there's a Tony performance of I Believe.
I saw the 2 Tony performances.
Okay,
but it's wonderful.
Hello is one too, because like Book of Mormon isn't a musical that's for everyone, but I think Hello does a great job introducing it and kind of what you're getting into as well. It sets the tone, sets the pace for it, which, as we know, seeing it live, the musical actually starts with a narrated like voice, a story from like the actual Book of Mormon. I am Jesus. That's always
it's so good.
And it's great.
And one of the things that I do love about the Book of Mormon as a musical is I think the soundtrack stands alone, or stands on its own, and it's really great. But I also think the play has enough other elements that aren't just the music, that even if you're very familiar with the soundtrack, you will not be bored at all by the 100%. Stage performance. It's, oh man, I love it. But one of the other things that I don't know if people talk about this a lot. I love the way the writers from Book of Mormon toe the line so well of these Mormon missionaries. Almost never you get a Elder Price swearing like once, but they're good. They go right down the line and they're very appropriate what they say while still being wildly blasphemous and inappropriate. I think it's very marvelously done.
It's fantastic. So that was a great pick.
Would you like to change religions? I got a free book written by Jesus.
And Josh Gad and Andrew Rannells are so good in the Broadway cast recording. They're just so great. They're perfect. Round 3, I am going to go with one that is not in the movie version of the musical, much to a lot of people's disdain, and that is the Ballad of Sweeney Todd from Sweeney Todd. I think it's another
tale of Sweeney Todd.
Yep. which people, if you didn't see the movie, you may be familiar with it from The Office and Andrew Bernard's performance in it. But I think that's a fantastic opening. I love the music to it. Sondheim is fantastic. It is so powerful, and it's telling the story. Again, the theme throughout all these, like, is setting up what you're getting into, given the backstory. And the revival with Josh Groban and Annalyn Ashford, they have a cast recording of that, and Josh Groban actually does a fantastic Sweeney Todd as well. So
I know he's like the
that's out there.
stereotypical cheeseball, but I do love me some Josh Groban. Josh Groban's version of Evermore on the new Beauty and the Beast soundtrack.
It is really good. It's fantastic.
I was the one who had it all. I was the master of my fate. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about right now.
Anyway,
I'm going to go 3, and I am going to take us away from the stage and into the cinema.
Okay.
And I am going to pick The Greatest Show.
I wondered if that's where you were going.
Showman.
I had that on my list.
We went to go see Greatest Showman in the theaters together.
Yep.
With our parents.
Mm-hmm.
And that moment, like
so
it was
good.
one of those moments
Chills.
where I was hooked. I was hooked immediately. I was like, nope, this is going to be great. The movie could have been just total ass from that point on, but I would have been so gaslit into thinking that it was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just from that one song.
Just from that one song that I was going to love it. Turns out that the movie is actually fantastic.
Not historically accurate, but great.
No, not at all. But even still, if you stop and think about like, oh, this guy's making money by grabbing all the people, calling them freaks, and paying for people to watch them.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a great guy in the movie.
No.
What's wild is historically he was a much worse man. Whoops.
Well,
hey,
you said
in the movie he just like kind of makes fun of these people and neglects his wife.
Well, you said you were taking us away from the stage into the cinema. I don't know if you saw one of the announcements at D23 just a day or two ago is that The Greatest Showman is being turned into a stage musical that will be premiering in 2025.
That might be the only D23 announcement that I wasn't following live.
I know, right? Well, here's another one for you that I'm sure you know, is that the stage recorded Frozen on Broadway with Samantha Barks as Elsa is coming to Disney Plus in 2025 as well. So those were the two Disney musical things that I was tracking from
I've
D23.
already circled the date on my calendar, but because they didn't give an exact date, I just circled 2025.
2025? Nice. So there's your D23 musical update.
I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
I do too. I'm not very familiar. I don't know the changes they made to the stage musical, what other songs they threw in there. I'm assuming there's at least a few new originals for it. But Samantha Barks is fantastic. So I'm excited to see her as Elsa. I saw someone had recorded, they had some pieces. I think the Disney on Broadway official page put out some clips of her singing Let It Go. And so powerful, which following up Idina Menzel is a heavy load, heavy lift. She does fantastic. So, the problem is, what were you going to say?
Ahead. Is it still your?
I was going to go to round 4, but
go to round 4.
If you were going to stay on that,
I was gonna pick my 4th pick. Actually,
no, we're not snaking it.
We're not going to snake it at post round 3 snake.
We're not.
What?
We're not snaking it mid draft.
It's tradition.
Nope.
What?
Nope.
Ridiculous.
Nope. I'm gonna go with my true number 4 on here. I made a list of like 20 songs, so the honorable mentions will be deep. But I'm going down my list, and this is one that I think is up there. I feel like I don't see it on a lot of, I've seen lists of people's favorite opening songs, opening numbers. I don't see this on there a lot. And that's Heaven on Their Minds from Jesus Christ Superstar. I think it's another fantastic one from Andrew Lloyd Webber. You're getting the introduction to the play. I love the score. I love the music to it. We've just got the guitar riffs, and it is so good. And this is one that I didn't really appreciate as much until I saw it live. Because for filmed versions, well, there's a lot of different ones now, but the original one from like the 70s or 80s, it feels very 70s, 80s. And I don't love that one as much. The vocal performances are great, but just the whole dynamic of it kind of takes me out. And then they did a live concert where Tim Minchin plays Judas, and he's fantastic as Judas. And like, especially on this song and Judas's death, his performances in that are so damn good. And then they did one on NBC. They did it live with John Legend, played Jesus in it, and they made him kind of the star and the focus on that. And none of them are bad. Like that NBC Live, I think it's one of the better live concert like musicals that they did, because a lot of those other ones were rough. Like Rent was very rough because not necessarily due to the performers. Some of them weren't great, but yes, Vanessa Hudgens was good. Jordan Fisher was good as Mark, but it happened. The actor who played, why am I blanking on the other dude's name? What's the other main dude? The blonde dude.
No,
Roger.
I know you can get it.
Roger. He like broke his wrist or leg or something during the rehearsals, and they always film the rehearsals. So that filmed one from when they did the rehearsal is what they aired because he couldn't perform it live. So it wasn't actually live. And you could kind of tell, I felt like that their energy wasn't all there and the vocals weren't all there. And plus Rent on network television is just so toned down. Like the PG-13, the movie version of it is already so toned back and not nearly as good. And then you throw it on network television and it was rough.
Yeah, just the choreography alone.
Yeah.
That you're not able to like really like, fuck.
And they had it like a stage with people all around it that was, the setup was weird. So they were constantly moving. So you weren't having actually really good staging with it. I didn't care for it.
No,
but
that was actually my first introduction to Rent. Corey and I tried to watch it. We watched.
Kudos to you for sticking it out.
Will You Light My Candle? And then we were like, nope.
It just wasn't great. Yeah,
no, it wasn't great.
Vanessa Hudgens was Maureen in it. But, okay, your round 4 pick. Second to last.
This is really tough. I am... You know what? Corey and I, this past weekend, went to a live show together. It's only the second live musical that we've seen together. Ever.
Okay.
And it was a local theater production of Les Mis. And so it's had just yet another. Every time someone brings up Les Mis, it just has a renaissance for me.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, I cried. I know this play so well.
Yeah.
But
I don't blame you.
It's just so gripping and emotional that there are like probably 3 times that I like just a tear just rolling down the cheek. Loved it. So I got to go with Look Down. And there's something beautiful about it's kind of the same like epic kind of just push as Phantom. It's not a rock opera, but it's got that epic scale. And it's a really beautiful introduction to not necessarily the story. It doesn't do the exposition thing.
Yeah.
The overarching exposition thing that Alexander Hamilton does, but it does introduce kind of the driving force of the play, which is the Javert, Jean Valjean, law, grace, like justice, freedom, kind of like tension that is really carries the momentum through the entire play. And I love it. Give me Look Down, number 4. It probably could have been drafted higher, but
I would say I was shocked this dropped that low for you. Like, I'm like, am I going to get this in the 5th round? Because it was on my list.
Hell no.
I know how much you love that musical, and I was shocked it had not been picked yet. Um, I've got a few hanging out here, and so my final pick, I'm going to go with one that I really enjoy, and that's going to be In the Heights from In the Heights.
I think it's a good pick.
I think that is another one. Like, yes, it's not quite on the level of Alexander Hamilton, but especially the crescendo and the end of that number is fantastic and is a great way to kick off the musical. And I think it's another just really well written one that's giving you like a huge like exposition dump and backstory on these characters a little bit, but doesn't do it in a way that seems pandering or just tedious. Like, it's
Absolutely.
brilliantly written. It is fantastic. That's my final pick.
It makes you wish you lived in Washington Heights, which is kind of
Yeah.
ironic because it's supposed to be a pretty shitty neighborhood.
Mhm.
But it just brings that neighborhood to life, and it's so exciting. I think that's a great pick. That does raise the question. We've got 2 Lin-Manuel Mirandas on this list, which is
We do.
pretty incredible.
It is.
We got 2 Andrew Lloyd Webbers, but two Lin-Manuels, and I just saw that he was the one that wrote the screenplay and everything for the new Mufasa.
Yes, he wrote the music for that and everything. So
How do you feel about it?
I don't know. Every trailer I see, I'm not really feeling it. I don't think from the trailers. Like, I think that just live action for that type of thing is a weird choice. Like, it's weird. You can't get the expressions from the animals. Like, you lose a lot of the charm. Like the live action Lion King, you lose so much charm.
Anthropomorphic creatures?
No,
like we didn't watch
no
Lion
sense.
King and think, I wish I could see this, but with real animals.
Yeah. I want less expression, and I don't get it. I wish it would be like animated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like it would
100%.
You get a chance to have so much more charm and like hit the emotional notes in some of those musical numbers that when you just get realistic looking animals, I don't know how I'm going to feel about it.
I don't think
I'm excited for the music.
Disney movie. Yeah, I don't think there's a single Disney movie that I watched and thought, this was good, but the one thing it's missing is photorealism.
Right.
It's all animated anyway. Why make it look live action? I don't get it. Why, Disney, are you shoving this down our throats? You could have taken, I mean, and a lot of the new animations that they've had have been so beautifully animated. I mean, Wish. I thought the animations there was absolutely beautifully done. And they did it was stylistically and artistically, it was great because they tried to tie in like modern animation developments while still giving kind of a look and feel similar to the early kind of drawing. But like the Moanas and the Frozens, and they're so beautiful. The animation is incredible. We know what you can do with CGI. We know CGI has come a long way. I don't care. I don't need it. I don't need anthropomorphic animals hopping around being like, man, I wonder if that's really what they're doing out there. If we can hear them talk, man. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I will say, this has, so Aaron Pierre plays Mufasa, who I'm not as familiar with. I've seen him in bits and pieces and a few other things. But Kelvin Harrison Jr. plays Taka, who is Scar before he's called Scar. We learned from the last trailer that's who he's playing. Name. And Kelvin Harrison Jr. He was in Chevalier, which I know we had conversations a little bit slower, but he is a very talented actor and singer. He plays Christian in Cyrano, and he's really good in that. So I'm excited. He has a really good voice. Mads Mikkelsen is in it. It's got an interesting cast. And Barry Jenkins is like, he is an Oscar winner. Like, he is a fantastic director. But we'll see what happens. I wish it wasn't live action. That part kind of takes me out of it and doesn't excite me.
I agree.
But
I'm so glad
a Lin-Manuel Miranda soundtrack now That I'm in for.
But you were cold on Vivo, and so
That's true. I was
I'm
cold on
interested
Vivo.
to see if he still got it,
Still has the
or if
sauce.
or
Or
yeah,
if
or
he's
if we've just kind
distracted
of
with
like seen the Lin-Manuel thing.
Well, I think he was also writing Moana 2, which Moana 2 comes out this year. And I'm pretty sure like he wrote the original music for Moana, so I would assume he's back for
At least he
Moana
worked
2.
with it. I don't know if he wrote it all.
Yeah.
Maybe he did. I
He
think
was pretty
he wrote
heavily
a lot of
involved
it.
in it, I believe.
But and Moana is a great soundtrack. So
Mm-hmm.
wanna be
How Far I'll Go is a
shiny.
banger.
Jermaine Clement is the crab. The Flight of the Conchords dude.
Yep.
He's the crab. Yeah.
Yes.
So that
Okay.
leaves me to close it out, and I want to come back. It would be a shame if we had Andrew Lloyd Webber and Lin-Manuel Miranda twice, but not Jonathan Larson 2 times.
Okay.
3090. Give me 3090.
Good pick.
The man
that was on my
only
list.
wrote, 4 plays?
I think something like that. Not very many.
Not very many.
Passed away.
Died too young, but 3090 was another one of those. I've never seen a stage production. And I'm actually, that's one of those that I'm not super keen to. I feel like the movie was very well done. And Lin actually, to his credit, I think Lin produced or directed.
He directed.
It did an amazing job kind of taking what was great about the stage production and blowing that up to a grander scale. Andrew Garfield performs it so wonderfully.
So good.
3090, as someone that just hit 30, 3090 is such a good,
it is fantastic.
Good song about the angst of just like, what am I doing with my life? Like, this won't stop. Like, man, they're singing Happy Birthday. You just want to lay down and cry.
Yeah.
Feels
good.
Much more like Doomsday. Fuck 3090.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's so good. So I'm looking at my list and I think I won again.
I don't know. I think, dude, you got a strong list, but I have the Phantom Overture. I've got Rent. I've got the Ballad of Sweeney Todd. I've got Heaven on Their Minds, and I've got In the Heights. I am so happy with my draft. I got you got ones I had on my list, draft. But they were lower. So
yeah. So you absolutely have a draft that I'd be proud to have if I had the second pick. But Alexander Hamilton, hello. The Greatest Show, Look Down, 3090.
I think we can say that successfully we did identify the 10 best musical opening numbers.
Yes, I feel there is subjective room for more
expansion,
which maybe leads us into what are some of your honorable mentions?
Well, thank you for asking, Bradley. Some of my honorable mentions.
I didn't like that. What are we? A lot of my again? Bradley, will you share with me? Bradley, may I please?
I think my honorable mentions, a lot of mine are like you drafted, every draft pick you had was on my list. So I don't have a ton of honorable mentions. I have Tradition from Fiddler on the Roof. I feel like is a powerful and fantastic opening number, but it's not one of my favorites. So it felt like just like trying to pander to pick that one.
But what's great about Tradition, first of all, is it's like we've talked about, it does a great job introducing kind of like the dominant theme and tension that runs through the tension between tradition and change that runs through that entire musical. It does a great job, but what I think makes it especially worthy of being on this honorable mentions list is that's one of those musical songs that just people know.
Yeah.
And it's not often that the introductory song is one of those staying, long-lasting songs. It's normally kind of like the bigger, the larger ballads or higher energy pieces later on. But Tradition, like, you just have to go Tradition, and people know exactly what you're doing. So that's a good one. What else
You
you
give
got?
one of your honorable mentions. We'll ping pong 'em.
Great. Well, since we just did this episode, I think that we need to honorable mention the Historian's intro and fish slapping song from Spamalot. I freaking love the way that musical
Finland,
starts. And it's,
Finland, Finland.
oh man, but the way it starts with the Historian, which is, once again, it's because it's from the movie, but it's just like Wessex, Mercia, plague, Northumbria, plague, uh,
That is a good one.
Essex, plague, with a chance of pestilence. And it's just like, welcome to England. Bun, dun, 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 dun. Finland, Finland. Finn traditional fish slapping song. It's hilarious. It really sets the tone for a really slap happy Python good time. So that's also one of my honorable mentions.
That is a great pick. Like, you're a lot higher on Spamalot than I was, but I did have a lot of fun with it, enjoyed it, and that's one of the highlights of that one. That and I am not yet dead. I am not dead yet. I can dance and I can sing.
Song that goes like this.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Once in every show, a song like this.
Okay, another one of my honorable mentions is "The Bells of Notre Dame."
Oh,
so,
that's same.
That was up there for me, especially the Broadway version. So it gives so much more like backstory and so much depth to the character of like Judge Claude Frollo, where Quasimodo is like his brother's child that was like excommunicated earlier, and some more backstory growing up, and just the music on that and the choir with it is just so powerful, and it's such a fantastic opening number.
It's excellent. It's so good. The bells, 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 bells of Notre Dame.
Your turn. Give me another one.
I think my final one. I don't feel a need to like just ramp up. We could name some other Disney ones, but I think people largely know. Like, Disney has strong opening numbers. We don't need to like really go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So
After
I'm going
Today
to go
from a Goofy movie.
Yeah.
They've got
well, that's
lots
the
of
best
bangers.
of the best.
It is the best.
So we'll kind of skip all the Disneys, and I am actually going to go one pretty far to right field, but I'm kind of doing my research for this draft. I didn't realize how huge this song was and revolutionary this song was. Oh, What a Beautiful Morning from Oklahoma. First of all, I didn't super realize that was an opening number.
I didn't either.
It's a solo.
I've never seen Oklahoma. I'm
but
losing
we know
some musical theater street cred, but I know that song. Yeah.
We all know that song. And so I was like, okay, it resonates. It's a great song, but it was revolutionary. Rodgers and Hammerstein changed the game because they had their opening song be a solo, not an ensemble, large group track, and that was really kind of changed the game, and that was really fresh and new and interesting. So I think I would be remiss if I didn't at least name that honorable mention.
That's
even
fair.
though, because I haven't seen a stage production of Oklahoma. I've seen bits and pieces here. I know a lot of the music, but I think that it needs to get that shout out if we're gonna have any respect as a musical podcast. Oh, what a beautiful
That is
morning.
fair.
Rodgers and Hammerstein belong on the list.
That's a great pick, great classic. I'm gonna rapid fire off my next four. One is the Santa Fe prologue from the stage version of Newsies. I feel like it's fantastic. Santa Fe is one of the more powerful songs throughout it. And this one, it's interesting. They don't have Santa Fe and then the reprise. They have Santa Fe prologue and then Santa Fe later on in the show. I thought that was curious. But that was, you nailed it. God damn it. I think you hit your mic.
Just roll. I did.
But so Santa Fe from Newsies, and then the more lesser known ones are going to be More Than Survive from Be More Chill. I really Fell in love with the Be More Chill soundtrack from Joe Iconis, and More Than Survive is a fantastic opening number to that. It's one of those sweeping, like 5-minute ones that's giving you the backstory, introducing you to all the characters. It's great. It's kind of in that same vein, Beautiful from Heathers. I feel like you're getting basically the whole prequel of Heathers the movie in that song that leads you into the rest of the musical and where you're going with it. And then finally, Just Another Day from Next to Normal. Next to Normal is a musical that I wasn't very familiar with, but I discovered it a few months ago and kind of fell in love with it, with kind of the story that it tells, and the music throughout it is just fantastic. So there's some of the honorable, oh Jesus Christ, honorable mentions. Oh, one last one. Anybody Have a Map from Dear Evan Hansen, I feel like is a fantastic opening number, and it's a crime that it was cut from the movie version. Like, I get you go with your more popular one, but Anybody Have a Map, I feel like, is so necessary to that musical and sets the stage, and them cutting it from the movie was a travesty. Okay, you were gonna say something.
I guess you talk about the movie. I'm gonna throw in Good Morning Baltimore from Hairspray.
That's a good one.
I actually super love Hairspray. We should do Have you done Hairspray?
Have not done Hairspray.
We should do Hairspray.
I'm down to do a Hairspray.
That would be that'd be fun. I actually love Good Morning Baltimore. I think it's great. It's been way too long since I've seen that musical. So, big fan.
Fair. All right. Well, I think that wraps up the draft. I didn't announce it at the beginning, so I'll probably record something, cut it in. There's going to be a special announcement that will take place now.
I'm back! Did y'all miss me? Of course you missed me. Even if you didn't miss me, I'm still back. What? Okay. First order of business. Happy 100th episode. Holy shit. I cannot believe it's been 100 episodes. That is insane to me. Okay, major shout out to Matt, because homeboy's been holding it down, okay? He's been doing the long hours, he's been doing the recording and the editing and the collaborating and the posting and all of the ings. He's been doing all the things. He's like a madman, like just killing it. I am now going to address the elephant in the room, which is moi and my vanishing act. You may have noticed I have been absent for a minute or 2 or 3 from the pod. I did have some personal things in my life that I needed to take care of, okay? Life is hard, y'all. It is. But I am back. I'm coming back. I want the world to know. Got to let it show. I'm back. More on that in a second. But I wanted to say thank you to Matt for the support, for holding it down, for being awesome. So glad that guy's my friend. So glad he's my partner in this. What a badass. Want to say thank you to Brad for swooping in and bringing that never-ending charm to our pod, just sprinkling it down on all of us. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate that. To the people who are like actually tuning in and like watching and like listening to what we have to say, our goofy asses talking about nothing, y'all are amazing. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. That is like insane. And I cannot believe it's been 100 episodes. Like, what? When we started this, y'all, like, it was just like me and Matt, and we've been friends for a while, right? And we would just like stay up late, like 2 Uber nerds, just talking shit, talking about musicals, talking about TV shows that we liked. Rude. Swapping memes back and forth. I mean, just bullshitting. And then Matt comes around and he's like, I think we should do a pod. And I'm like, I think you're right. Did either of us know anything about running a pod? Absolutely not. I still don't know anything about running a pod. I have no idea what goes into running a pod. No idea. But Matt figured it out. He did it. So I just got to show up, which is pretty great. And now I'm back to do it again. Before we get into that, I want to weigh in on the whole like Matt Brad thing from this episode. I have to give my opinion. It's just like a necessary thing. So they both had some good choices, I thought, for like the musical opening number. But I am shocked. I am shocked that neither of them chose the one I'm about to point out because it's so good. Prince of Egypt. What? An animated movie? No, an animated musical. And it's not Disney. And it's not Lin-Manuel. It's like, what, early 90s, maybe? Maybe mid-90s? I don't know. I was young-ish. Young-ish. We will not get into how old or young I was in the mid-90s. But I was young-ish when it came out. I'm still like blown away every time I see it. So if you haven't seen the opening number of Prince of Egypt, stop what you're doing right now. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Go sit down on your couch, turn it on, and watch it because it is like it's in a category of its own. Just go watch it. So good. So that's the one I would have picked. So thank you, Matt and Brad, for not choosing that one, so I could. Okay, big reveal. It is official. I am coming back to the pod. Drum roll, please. August 28th. 2 weeks. Coming back. I cannot wait to get back into it. I'm making my grand re-debut, and I've missed y'all. I missed you so much. So please, 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 please tune in. Watch next week's episode, and then in 2 weeks, I'll be there. Yay! And we're gonna get started in like the next 100 episodes, right? Like, oh my god, that's crazy. Send us the topics that you want us to talk about, right? I don't know, the musicals, movies, TV shows, your favorite cheese. If you like crocheting, I don't know, whatever. Come up with something, tell us what you want us to talk about. We'll figure it out. But I've been gone for a minute, okay? So I got a lot to say, and I want to say it all. So tell me what you want us to talk about, and we'll talk about it. I am so freaking excited. Thank y'all, as always, for tuning in, for subscribing, for giving us your opinion, for calling us names, whatever you're doing. Please, 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 please tune in. Next week, tune in August 28th. I will be there. And until then, don't forget to go down once more. Bye!
Okay, so now you know that. That's what's coming up in the future. You don't
My
get to
mind
know
is blown. I can't believe that you just announced the thing that's special.
Yeah.
Was more special than I thought it was going to be.
I know, right? I know. So all right, now you guys know that. So exciting.
As do I.
Yeah. No, I'm purposefully not telling Brad. So Brad will have to watch the whole podcast episode that he knows everything that happened on, or just skip to the time codes. Because as always, I time code things. I had someone on last week's episode I recapped the finale of House of the Dragon season 2. And so in the episode, I started talking about it and then talked about the Game of Thrones, the HBO previews. And so I get into the actual recap in episode 5 at the 15-minute mark. They commented, why would you call this a House of the Dragon recap when you're just talking about every other show out there? And it's like, well, clearly showing you didn't watch anything or the whole thing. The last 45 minutes of this episode are the House of the Dragon recap. So that is why I called it a House of the Dragon recap. So there's always time codes in here. If you didn't know that, now you do, and you can just skip to the parts that you care to listen to. So
can I recommend, Matt, that you put that little explanation right there about time codes at the beginning of this episode?
I usually do at almost every episode. So yeah, I just didn't.
Hey, there's time codes in case you don't want to hear us talking stupid.
Yeah. I'll do it when I put in the clip talking about the special announcement being at the end. Then I'll say, hey, time codes in the description. Jump to what you want to jump to. So that does it. We're coming in a little over an hour for our 100th episode. I thought about just making it 100 minutes exactly, but ain't nobody got time for that.
We'll just walk away
It's
and
a
we'll
Sunday
turn
night.
it off.
That's right. It'll just be white noise for the next 40 minutes or 35 minutes now. It is Sunday night. We're recording. I have work tomorrow. Brad has things to do tomorrow.
I work? Gosh dang it. Come on, man.
Brad has work and parenting to do tomorrow.
At the same time.
At the same
time. Harder than your shit.
A fucking nightmare. No, I'm not going to go there. Not going to go there. But thank you all for those of you who have been around since episode 1. A special shout out and thanks and kudos to you. So appreciate you all. We're 3 years in, 100 episodes in. Here's to 100 more. Thank you all. We're going to close out with our signature sign off. That is Bradley's favorite. And that is that have a fantastic week. Enjoy your life. And don't forget to go down once more. Later. And I have Brad joining me today for a very special episode. We're going to get back to our musical roots. And Brad just fucked up his mic or something already, right off the bat.
I touched the cord.
Don't touch the cord.
All I did.
Leave and come back. Leave and come back.
Gosh damn it.
We're going to start over again.